I want you to be skeptical. I want you to be skeptical whenever you see on social media a trainer, a YouTube social media influencer or fitness influencer, when you see them selling programs, training programs, buy my programs, support my channel, and they're selling programs. And it's very common nowadays because everyone's looking for the next program to help them achieve their fitness goals or health goals or whatever it may be when it comes to exercise and training. So, but there's a pink elephant in the room that not too many people are pointing out. Some are, but you know, these programs, let's put the facts on the table. They're one size fits all, they're cookie cutter approaches. They're most likely copies of other people's works, training programs, or maybe they change things around a little bit, but there's nothing really new under the sun. So these are very generalized programs that people are spending money on. So if you're drawn towards that and attracted towards it, by all means, buy into it. You buy into these programs if you're curious to see what someone that you're attracted to or someone you're drawn towards, what they're promoting, what they're teaching, as far as their training principles or approaches are. That's fine. There's nothing. That's great, because as long as you understand where it's coming from or what it is, if you want to buy in because you're curious, if you want to buy in why is this person so popular, if you want to buy in because everyone else is buying into this program, then do it. Okay, but I'll guarantee you, you've been around the block a few times, and if you've seen a bunch of gurus or influencers or popular people, and you start looking at all their programs, it's all bullshit. Meaning it's just rehashed interpretations of the same stuff. Because let's face it, there's a lot of similar exercises, a lot of similar programs. They're just trying to make a living, so you can't put anything against them on that. We're all just trying to put food on the table, essentially. So just understand, be skeptical, right? Also, a real good training program for you requires some degree of an assessment that's individualized and personalized for you, right? So when you see these programs that people are selling, understand they usually don't involve any type of assessment. So how can they be for you, right? So you might try them and you get what you pay for, and basically you get what you understand, that this is a very generalized cookie cutter program. So what I'm getting at is, because I deal as a physical therapist and a trainer, I see a lot of people with chronic issues that end up hurting themselves over time, and they want to change. They don't want that to happen anymore, and they want to keep on going, they want to keep on moving, keep on exercising, training. So a lot of these things could be prevented way beforehand. This is why I have my Treat and Train program, which basically is a hybrid model of physical therapy, rehab, physical rehab, and personal training, conditioning. So you have two ends of the spectrum: treatment, where people have some issues, or whether they have symptoms or not, or they have tendencies of chronic issues. And then you have people that don't, and that relatively just want to improve their fitness and health and conditioning through exercise and training, okay? So in this spectrum, we all lie somewhere within this spectrum, and it's constantly changing, and from session to session, day to day, year to year. So this is the type of model that I offer, where oftentimes you have people who are just beginning, and they read into the social media influencers that say, you need to lift weights to improve your hormones. You need to be anabolic. You need to build muscle. Muscle is very metabolically active. You need to be lean, burn fat, all these things. They're not wrong, okay? So a lot of times people get into the thinking that I need to lift heavy weights, and I need to do that all the time. And if I don't lift heavy weights, how am I going to stimulate growth? And how am I going to make the gains? And how am I going to get my testosterone, all my hormone levels? Because this trainer says this or that, lift heavy weights, 6 to 8 reps, whatever it may be. But then you have somebody that's not used to lifting heavy weights, because lifting weights is a physical skill. It's a skill, okay? It's a motor skill. Just like doing a backflip, it's a skill that needs to be practiced to be proficient at it. So a lot of times people take that for granted, and for example, they start lifting heavy weights when they really shouldn't be, and that they haven't really earned the right to lift heavy weights because they haven't gone through the process of the body awareness and feeling what it takes to create that full body tension to stabilize the body so that it can withstand those heavy loads. And usually when they don't, it's because they don't have that body awareness and they have this heavy load. The weight doesn't give a shit, and next thing you know, soft tissue thresholds are surpassed, and then you have symptoms. And then that becomes chronic. It'll heal on its own, it always does, but then when it keeps coming back, it's recurring, and you're only 15, 16, 17, 18, 20 years old or whatever, and you have these injuries already from just abuse and lack of awareness. That's when usually you start seeking help. You usually don't see people like me until they're in their 30s and 40s, and they'll realize how stupid they were when they were younger. And this is why I'm making videos out like this. It doesn't have to be that way. So a lot of times you have people that go into these, they buy into these programs, and the program says, okay, you got to periodize, where we have a beginning period where you increase your volume, increase your reps, lighter weight, etc., and then you work over time into the heavy weights. Very generalized, very normal, nothing wrong with that. Problem is, a lot of times you have some people, for example, they have tendencies where they tend to use their lower back, their lumbar spine, paraspinal muscles a lot to stabilize their trunk. And they're supposed to be doing a mesocycle of heavy deadlifts or whatever it may be that puts a lot of stress on the back. And so they haven't really learned to effectively engage or reinforce their hip hinging pattern. So instead they use their lower back muscles, and next thing you know, they feel a little tightness, a little fatigue in their lower back, and they think that's part of normal. They rest, they do it again. Next thing you know, they overextend, boom, they have a back injury, go see the doctor, it's a disc, go therapy, chiropractic, blah, blah, blah. Right? So it's a skill that needs to be learned, needs to be individualized. So when someone comes to work with me in a treat and train program, I don't give them a one-size-fits-all, obviously. They have to go through an assessment process. Ideally, it's an in-person process where I have them go through some specific movements and exercises where I assess them and to see where they're at, and then gradually progress from there as far as what they need, what their goals are. And I used to do this in one session, especially if they were from out of town or coming in town to see me, but it really wasn't ideal. Okay, optimal is it's an ongoing process. Every session is a treat and train. Every session is assessment, reassessment. Every session is an opportunity to improve or teach. That's a better word, to teach and for them to learn how to be their own therapist, physical therapist, and their own personal trainer. So that's where the individualized programming and personalization comes in. Now, sometimes people can't make it in person to see me, so once in a while I'll see people from other outside of state, countries, whatever, remotely. So, and it's not just one remote session, okay? I usually have them usually require them to send me videos of them doing specific movements and specific exercises. And that's in addition to a specific initial consultation, remote session. So we can kind of put things together and see where they are before I even start building them a program. And then, once I do give an initial program, they have to commit to a weekly follow-up, because I have to see them do the specific program and the specific exercise. I have to see how they react and respond to the loading variables that we set for them. And it's not just, okay, here's the program, we went over it, you did the exercise well, I'll see you in 4 weeks, 4 to 6 weeks, whatever. No, it's more of, I'll see you remotely next week. We'll go over the sessions, we'll go over some exercises and any other questions. Every single week, okay? At least one follow-up. Ideally, yeah, I'd love to see you several sessions during the week remotely, but not everybody is a billionaire nowadays. So, but for most people, it works to see me more frequently early on, and then as they become more proficient and they start seeing the results and becoming their own therapist and trainer and making their own decisions, then they usually just follow up over the months, okay? Maybe once a year, twice a year, whatever it may be. But going back to what I was saying about being skeptical about buying into trainer programs that aren't really individualized for you and they're very general, consider the possibility of a train model such as mine, where you invest in yourself, where you come in and you basically have me coach you to be your own best physical therapist and personal trainer. And there's nothing better. I'll be very honest. I'm not just trying to sell my practice or sell my brand or sell me, whatever. I'm just offering my services. This is what I do well, and I've been doing it for over 25 years, is basically there's nothing better than seeing someone weekly, consistently, not just for months, but I have clients for years. And these are the clients that you'd be surprised how much you grow, not just physically in your physical health, but mentally, emotionally. It's incredible, okay? And to have that awareness and to be able to make decisions and life choices based on that awareness, that's so empowering, and that's very healthy, if you ask me. So, but when you see someone consistently, you don't take that for granted, because you have an opportunity to observe the little things and to make changes or suggest changes on the fly, right? And it takes years to be a competent clinician and practitioner and trainer. Years. It doesn't happen overnight. You see some of these younger social media influencers, YouTubers, they're in their early 20s or late teens and they've got millions of subscribers. They look buff because they have great genetics. They were athletes, and every generation has people in high school that they just start lifting weights or whatever, and all of a sudden overnight they blow up and they're jacked and shredded and they look great. So not to say that they don't know anything, it's just that there's always going to be those people. Nowadays with social media, it's more prominent and it's more significant because more and more people are seeing it, and they start believing that this is normal, when in reality it's one of those things, you know. So when you start listening to some of these influencers, when they start training somebody or coaching somebody on film, on video, the truth starts to come out as far as where they are, okay? And you can't fake it to make it. Meaning you can't fake experience, right? So that's all I want to say right now. And just thank you for watching this video. And please subscribe if you haven't already, and click like if you feel so generous.